Should Kenyans continue trusting President William Ruto?
Kwa sababu ile shida imeharibu hii serikali ya William Ruto ni mambo ya nini? Ni waongo si waongo? Hiyo ndio ukweli na ndio mimi tulishindwa kukaa na yeye.
See, President William Ruto might have a degree in botany, but if Kenyans had their say, they'd swear he majored in advanced political fiction with a PhD in pathological lying.
Ile kahawa ilikuwa inalipwa baada ya miezi 6, leo inalipwa baada ya siku 5.
Stories za jaba, hizo ni hadithi za jaba. Stories za jaba.
Ruto lies all the time. And all the time Ruto lies. And that is his nature, shidwe.
Now that's the raw, unfiltered sentiment sweeping across Kenyan streets and timelines. The man's once dubbed a hustler now seems to be avoiding the truth like a plague.
Tutaweka pesa ya serikali kupunguza gharama ya mtungi ya gas. Ile ya kilo 6 mnanunua 2,500, 2,800, tutaishukisha chini mpaka shilingi 500 ama 300. I commit to provide mothers of newborn babies with diapers for their children for a minimum of 3 months paid for by the government of Kenya.
Nimekuwa nikiangalia maoni ya wale ambao wamekuwa wakisubiri mjadala huu na wamekuwa wakiuliza anakuja kutudanganya tena. Sijui, does it bother you?
No matter how many chances the president is given to wash his reputation clean, he somehow manages to marinate it deeper in lies.
Ni hivi watu hawako sure wa kusherehekea. Unafikiria ni nini ambacho kimewasukuma watu ambao walikupenda hadi mahali wako hivi sasa?
Wewe unazungumzia mambo ambayo hujaona.
Now, just when you thought His Excellency had exhausted his bag of tall tales, he reached deep into his diplomatic drama drawer and pulled out an old beef, Sudan. In a recent interview, President Ruto decided to reopen wounds with the Sudanese government, retaliating against their decision to stop importing goods from Kenya. Why? Because Kenya, in a bold stroke of international matchmaking, decided to roll out the red carpet for the RSF, the same group giving Sudan's government migraines.
Welcome to your other home. Thank you very much.
Ruto claims that despite Sudan's ban, Kenya is still shipping its finest tea to Khartoum. Yes, tea, because apparently in Ruto's world, Sudan may be at war with Kenya, but nothing will stop them from sipping on a hot cup of Kericho gold.
It's key to our region, on tea, a follow up on tea.
Yes.
You bring, ndio mazao imekuwa juu, lakini mapato huenda yakakuwa chini kwa sababu tumepoteza soko la muhimu Sudan. Na imekuwa ni kwa sababu wewe umeruhusu mrengo wa waasi kuanzisha serikali hapa Nairobi.
Wewe kwanza unasema hiyo unasema ya chai ya kuuza Sudan. Yes. By the way, we are selling tea to Sudan.
Okay. According to Ruto's personal fantasy files, Kenya's tea is simply too good to resist.
Even after they say they are not buying our tea, the market itself has forced them. We sell tea today to Sudan. So there is absolutely no issue about selling of tea. And that is why we are making money in the tea sector. Let me also tell you about the projects.
Mheshimiwa, kabla hiyo
just wait.
Swali moja tu la kahawa.
Yes.
Nimekusikiza unazungumza.
Unfortunately, reality had other plans and receipts. Moments later, the Sudanese government, clearly done with being the punchline in Ruto's speeches, went full diplomatic mode and called him out. Not just casually, but with the precision of a scorned bureaucrat wielding a PDF document. In a formal statement, the Embassy of Sudan in Nairobi declared, on their record, on Twitter to be specific, and likely over a cup of non-Kenyan tea, that no Kenyan products, including tea, have entered Sudan since March 11th, 2025. This decision has been fully implemented. No Kenyan products, including Kenyan tea, have been imported into Sudan. Any claims suggesting otherwise are unfounded and inaccurate. Sudanese embassy said, throwing diplomatic shade with surgical accuracy. And just like that, the president's claim dissolved faster than a sugar cube in the tea Sudan apparently isn't drinking.
Ruto lies. All the time. And all the time. Ruto lies. That is his nature. Shidwe.
Badala ya mdomo tam-tam.
I frankly don't like spending time commenting on some of these flippant and petty political things because a lot of people lie all the time. You know, some of them now lie like a career. You know, it's like that's what they went to school to be trained. You saw those lies yesterday. You know, people lying. They lie about anything. They can't tell you anything. Probably the only truth about them is their name.
But wait, the drama continued. Since President Ruto played host to the RSF and let them sign paperwork on Kenyan soil, because what's diplomacy without enabling parallel governments? The Sudanese army has been on a revenge tour. This week, they announced they have finally kicked the RSF out of Khartoum, almost 2 years after losing the capital to them.
We want to dedicate this victory to the patient Sudanese people. The Sudanese people who have suffered for many years. We tell them that the armed forces are present and that the armed forces are the armed forces, and there is no example of armed forces like the armed forces. And by the grace of God, the palace and everyone around it is now secure with the Sudanese armed forces and the supporting armed forces.
So while President Ruto was busy playing regional kingmaker, Sudan was busy taking back its capital and calling him a liar on social media.
And the one thing that many of them were saying is, when will he stop lying? So it's not Linus.
Can he tell us the truth this time?
Let me say the following. I told the people of Kenya that I would reduce the prices of fertilizer from 7,000 to 2,500. I don't know how that is a lie.
Does it bother you that Wakenya hawana imani na uwezo wa rais wao kuzungumza ukweli?
Najua propaganda ni kazi ya wale watu ambao wanatembeza uongo na kudanganya watu. Mimi nimekuja hapa kwa sababu kuna kazi nilipatiwa na wananchi wa Kenya. Na kuna kazi nilipatiwa na wananchi wa Central Kenya. Na hiyo kazi itabainika wazi kama kuna uongo ama kuna ukweli wakati tutaanza hii safari kesho.